Armada Book 5 Chapter 4 The Recon Teams Part 2. After a few days they met at Eric's mission hall. Have you all studied your missions and target personalities? Eric asked. My target is Andrew, Albert, Harold, Linda, and Reek. Ribani said. I am going to 2 other countries to search for Ono and Hoffman. Then I would look for Jenny, Hairu, and the others. Brasun said. My job is to get the other GX1 members. Rimaston said. You have an uncloaked partner and several cloaked operatives around you. The ship will provide you with real-time intel on your target's movement. Linda said. Okay, the target Earth is a bit different. Only 2 major world wars happening more than 80 years from their present time period. Their technology is about 40 years older than our present Earth, and the president is a guy named Gore. Albert is a judge and Harold is a business teacher. Andrew is an airline pilot, married, while Linda is a nurse. Ellie is a chemist while Reek is a science teacher. Eric is a solar farmer, Roger is a detective, and Tony is a banker. Billy is the only one closest to the military. He's a captain in the army. Apparently the Long War has not happened yet. The time period is about 10 years earlier than our period. Ellie said. Wait, we expect an airline pilot, a farmer, a banker, a nurse, a teacher, and a chemist to lead the Armada. Ribani asked. The theory is that they will perform the same way under the same high-pressure conditions. It's in their genes. Ellie said. You know what's strange here? Everybody including Jenny, Hairu, Ono, Hoffman, and the other ship commanders are all unmarried. Only Ellie is married to some car salesman. Eric said, and the room laughed. Newly married Eric. Ellie corrected. Manpat, Lachine, and Junie beamed in. After studying the personalities, I don't think we need to talk to these guys. Let's just beam them to planet Los Angeles and talk to them. We would then have them pass through the Crimson, make them smart and telepathic, keep them physically fit for the missions. Teach them the new technologies and how the Armada does things. Then we let them decide whether they would help us face the Norset problem. Ribani said. Ellie added, actually, we would ask the Crimson to put half or portions of the knowledge of our people into their counterpart. For example, the Crimson will implant Jenny's training and some knowledge into the Jenny of the target Earth. Then some of Linda's skills to the Linda of the target Earth, and so on. That's a great idea, Ellie. Linda said. It was actually General Man's idea. But we are missing the 3 VIP personalities. I cannot understand why Andrew, Roger, and Eric have not gone through the Crimson. Lachine commented. Ellie cared to explain, the reason is really that they just want to feel important and more unique. In the meantime we get Roden and his people and bring them over to planet Los Angeles also to bond with the humans. Then we get Borin and Janan into the pot to introduce the Mort problem to the group. Then we ask the humans to accompany us in our work to free the Norsets. Basically, they are stuck with us, we just need to let their true character out of their system in our struggle to help the Norsets. Brasun said. I think that would work. But I think we should talk to or be with the targets while they are on Earth to establish some rapport or familiarity before being kidnapped together by the alien. Rimaston said. Very good, Rimaston. Maybe you can stage an assault by 2 of your operatives on Linda, then you come in to save her. Linda said. I like that. Rimaston said. I can stage an accident where my car will hit Andrew's car, then we argue. I will try to have him hit me and we can fight and get hauled off to the police station. Ribani said. Are you also a movie producer, Ribani? Manpat asked. I can appear as a scientist trying to recruit Ellie on a government project dealing, say, in fusion chemicals. Okay, Ellie, I know, I asked the Crimson to give me some technical knowledge. Rimaston said. I'm not saying anything. But I think that would work, but you need a team. Ellie said. This is exactly the kind of planning Andrew would expect from you guys. I think it's a good idea to plant you guys and your group into the target groups so you can bond and motivate them. Eric said. I think this would have a higher chance of success because the decision came from the target personalities. Manpat commented. Who will act as your wise alien or aliens again? Lachine asked. According to the mission description, it would be Matanite who will act as the wise alien with Ezra as his assistant. But he wants to change his name to Mo. Brasun answered. Not very original. I know of 3 Norset scientists named Mo, Larry, and Curly named after a famous comedy trio. Manpat said. Wait, my ID says I'm Larry Ribani. So if I find out somebody by the name of Curly, I can conclude this is someone's idea of a joke, which can't be because I know we all chose our names by ourselves and I know I chose Lawrence from the Lawrence of Arabia movie. Ribani said. Actually Curly was replaced by a guy named Joe who became Curly Joe. I know this because I am very close to those 3 Norset scientists. Ellie explained. Hey, my ID says I'm Joe Brasun, but I chose Jose, not Joe. Brasun said out loud. They all looked at each other and burst out laughing. Several weeks later at Ellie's ship near planet Portland, GX1 and the Armada group leaders under Eric were meeting with Ellie's group to discuss the first-month foray into various DG addresses. It has been 5 weeks since Riker and his group first stepped into the Maccabee DG units. General Man, it has been 5 weeks since Riker stepped into the DG, and since then his group has increased to 10 teams. Unfortunately, a third of the ghosts moved on, including Riker and several main characters. But their work will be with us forever. Ellie said as she moved to show several holograms showing DG address, worlds they are in, universe designation, state of events, commonalities and issues. Ellie continued, this table shows all our missions numbering 320 in the first 5 weeks of our official journey into the DGs. 50 of these were in the same addresses agreed to with the Norsets and Inkeys on where to go. The rest, as you notice in the address, are simply chosen in numbers jumping in 1,000 points in the address counter. Okay, the information is massive and we have given you 3 days to read over the material. I hope you went over them. Rebecca, please. Rebecca stepped nearer to Ellie. I know we are all learning our way around these DGs. I would like to discuss the first 50 address common to the 3 groups of DGs, the humans, Norsets, and Inkey groups. It turned out that the same addresses in the human world pertains to the same world universe as in the Norsets and Inkey worlds, except that they open a gateway in a different location somewhat equidistant based on the location of the 3 galaxies. For example, the human world is nearer the Norsets than the Inkeys, so the locations in the other universes using the same location somewhat had the same distance as in our universe. The basic conclusion is that the address pertains to the same universe although in a different location. The Maccabees explains that this is because the machine tunes into the most stable opening in the area, and this stability is affected by a host of factors in the target dimension. Except for 2 addresses which are very different, and we are studying why this is so. The Maccabees believe this is machine-related, that our machines were not calibrated properly in relation to the other machines. Some of the scientists believe these are feeder universes. Feeder universes are universes that are much older and feed into or create an entirely different universe through wormholes. But this is another set of projects under Rabina to do later. So let me get this straight, Rebecca. If I go through the human DG using an address, it would be possible for me to go out of that universe through the Norset DG, assuming I have a Norset DG handset related to the Norset DG platform? Andrew asked. Rebecca nodded. Yes sir, if the DG handset has been calibrated or have passed through the Norset DG and the setting fixed, and then you bring it into the universe using the Portland DGs, it would be possible for you to travel all the way to the Norset galaxies, locate the DG node and open a gateway to go back to our world from the Norset side. Ellie explained. So we can insert our troops in a universe at various points to respond to a threat. Eric said. Yes, that is correct. Ellie said. Rebecca interjected. Going back to our 50 addresses, this hologram shows the universe number which is tied to the DG address, location, commonalities, and state of affairs. Note that none of the universes are the same. So our first major conclusion is that one DG address pertains to one universe which is the same universe using the same address in the Norset and Inkey DGs. 3 weeks ago, we transferred 5 of the ships from Portland to various points 1 BLY away and went through. We found out that the same DG address opens a window in the same universe but in another location, although in the same time frame more or less. However, the distance to the original DG opening is not exactly equidistant in the other universe. There was a variance of anywhere from 12% to 22% of 1 LY. The Maccabees tried to explain that this may be due to the locations themselves in which the DG machine is trying to insert a window in, and this window will open only in the most stable location, and this may be a bit far from our projected location. The Norsets and Inkeys had the same observations. So if we can insert ourselves anywhere in a target universe, what would prevent somebody from going into ours from various points as well? Andrew asked. Sir. Nothing, really, if you think about it. However, the Maccabees are working on a scanning process precisely to see if there are insertions into our universe from outside. Ellie said. Roger stood and questioned. If I went through and say I found Earth, how can I set up a DG on that Earth and open a portal to our universe? Or have you tried this approach already? You don't have to stand, Roger. Sit down. Yes, and we established that our universe is address 9255-740-0890 in the DG dial. This means that when you are anywhere on the other side and you dial this address, you will be able to open a gateway to our universe, although not exactly at the same address you were in but slightly off by up to say 0.22 LY. We did go through 2 levels up. When we went to a dimension, we opened another window into another dimension and from there opened another window using our home address and we ended up back in our home universe. Ellie said. That only means you traveled to another first-level universe from another first-level universe. Andrew commented. Continuing, Rebecca interrupted, if you look at the state of affairs of these 50 addresses we have described them as similar or not similar, no Armada or with Armada, and problem or no problem. One glaring commonality in all these 50 universes and from various insertion points was the absence of the Armada. Also, some of these universes do not have the same problems we went through and some universes are entirely different or not similar from ours. For example, the Norset's galaxies are smaller and located further out at more than 10 BLY from Earth, almost nearer the Talonot galaxies. In two cases where we investigated Earth coming from an insertion point in space and traveling to the location, the Earth was different. How different? Linda asked. Rebecca looked at Linda. In one reality, Earth was prehistoric. In another, it was almost medieval and the whole planet is in a war between three major players, its first in thousands of years. Based on the position of the galaxies we established the time to be off relative to our time by 200 years more or less in the prehistoric Earth and 5,000 years in the medieval. This shows that while the various universes flow at various relative times from our dimension, the planets developed in entirely different periods. Ellie stood again and, so now let me direct you to the other addresses and other universes. We have gone to 270 more universes. In some we went in twice or thrice using the DG teams, cloaked of course. We based our decision to go in on Riker's recommendation, whether it's safe and if there is something of interest to us. But what could be interesting to you may not be interesting to me or Eric or Roger. Andrew said. I believe between me and you, sir, you poke your fingers in all the holes you see, I don't. Ellie said and the group laughed. We sit down and discuss which particular interesting item is more interesting than the rest given our limited time and resources. Ellie, I'm a changed man. I don't like to poke at all the holes I see anymore. From this summary we can see that not all the universes have conflicts and in fact only 3 stand out. Out of the 10 universes that had conflicts only 3 stand out because of the degree of carnage and occupation. One is the Norset planet taken over by the Morts, another is the Karaki planet and the last is the Maccabee planet where the slaves were being sold and sent to the Marsans and Greenos. We have not gone into any slave planet run by the criminal organizations. Ellie explained. Whatever happened to the Kligo ship? I have not read anything about it. Eric commented. Rebecca responded, it should be in another packet. We have finished several already. In another week we will be able to finish enough blocks to assemble into 10 ships. 3 of these will go to the Norsets, 3 to the Inkies and the last 4 to us. They are all near the Norset planet manufacturing them. A hologram appeared of the Kligo ship. That is one long ugly ship. Andrew said. As you can see the Kligo ship is 3 blocks high, 10 blocks long and 5 blocks wide. We did try to make it look good as you can see, the bow has 2 special blocks giving the ship's a pointed nose while the stern has 2 blocks that makes the stern appear rounded flat. Rebecca explained. Ellie continued, the Kligo ship is really less than 3% of the size of our regular Armada ship. And this means that the number of people is also reduced at 500 crew members. 2 weeks ago more than 10,000 DG personnel and 120 Ghost Recon team members started training on running and operating the Kligo ships in response to problems in the field. We provided for more personnel because we assumed some personnel would just use the personnel Kligo ship to go in. Have you found any Mac planet? Andrew asked. Yes sir, we found 3. Ellie answered. I think the boss wants to make first contact with the Macs on the other side in all the universes. Roger said. You know what Roger, you always do that. How on earth do you do it? Andrew asked. I realize that if I think about it, you probably did also. Roger said. Roger is right. Our priority is to map out all the Macs in all the universes and these are the people we make first contact with. Andrew said. Gadden interjected, I believe Andrew is correct. This will give us an immediate ally, a lot of information and a lot of problems as well. Then we would know their progress in the formation of the Armada. This also points out that the next best contact would be the Inkies because they also have Macs with them. I think that the first best would be the Crinsons. We have to send out our DG people with a bunch of Trunties to specifically look for the Crinsons on the other side. Lachine said. I think I understand what you 4 are getting at. Okay, so in order to accomplish those, we need to move our DGs closer to the Macs, Inky Macs and Crinsons. Then we send out teams to those addresses we already are familiar with. But the Inkeys already have their DGs, and so we can just ask them to look for planets with Macs, which are probably everywhere they would look in their middle galaxies. Ellie said. I think the Macs should ask the Maccabees for 10 DGs and start their teams, with our teams of course, and explore it from their side. In the meantime we can fly 5 ships over to Atleminus and start going out from there. Eric said. Our DGs are actually the Macs DGs also, since the Maccabees see us as one species. General Mann actually insisted that the Maccabees give the Macs their own, and they said they will give us 10 as soon as they produce them. They only have 50 DGs and they gave 30 of these to our groups. Ellie said. So our first objective is to connect the collectives in all the universes. Then once we have the Mac intel, which is their whole collective, we can more or less know what's out there. Linda said. Actually, the main reason or objective is trust. Once we connect to the collectives, a solid bond based on trust is established. Then we can operate more freely. Andrew explained. Sir, that means we should try to connect with the Crimson and establish this trust early on by our Trunties and the Macs of the other side. Ellie said. Yes Ellie, that could be, but it's a small operation compared to the Macs since they are only one planet. Maybe one Kligo ship will do. Since we cannot move a large Crimson through the DG, we would have to go through Crimson Invisible and look for their planet. We can bring a few of the Crimson kids, those big enough to fit through the opening, sir. Ellie said. That would work too, Ellie. Maybe you should just assign 1 or 2 DG just for the Crimson operations. That would make work easier. Yes sir. So let's talk about personnel. Eric said. Yes, on top of the 10,000 or so Kligo operators, we asked early on for volunteers to the DG program. The results, as you may expect, is a deluge. So we started a training program where we basically just taught them all the DG research we have so far. Remember, our people are well trained in their line of work. We just need to tell them the lay of the land and what to expect. They adapt quite easily and provide their own solutions to the problems we presented. In other words, we have good people and there are a lot of them. Ellie explained. Andrew stood. So let's all meet again after 2 weeks. Ellie, bring a ship with a DG near the Crimson location and send out teams to look for the Crimson planet. Then have our Trunties make first contact. They are nearer, so you should have something in 2 weeks. Then bring 5 ships to the Mac capital and start going out from there. Send out as many teams as you can. Make sure the Crimson addresses are the same as the Mac addresses you go into. After more than 2 weeks, they met at the mission hall of a DG ship near the Mac capital planet of Atleminus. As usual, Ellie started. Okay, I hope you have read the reports we send out daily on our progress. I will start off by saying that the first contact with the Crimsons of 28 universes was a rousing success. 28 holograms appeared showing the Crimson planet, which did not look any different from what they already know. Ellie continues, it took us a while to look for the planet, and as we went along got better at locating the Crimson planet among the other universes. After the first contact, the Trunties kept going in and out. Some of the Trunties, actually thousands, from the other universes went on a trip with our Trunties to the other universes. I think it was really a blast for the Trunties to be able to do this. Remember, our Trunties are more traveled and have information on 3 major Mac collectives. Ellie looked at Rebecca. Rebecca stood and walked nearer to Ellie. I will talk about our Mac operations. In the past 2 days, we went to 10 addresses, and as you can expect, we landed in places somewhat far from the capital planet. Due to the limited time we allotted to the teams to look for the capital planet, we did not make any contact. We were able to establish where the planets were though in the universes we went to, and will send out more teams later on. Rebecca sat unexpectedly. Bakanima stood in front. I came over to report to you our findings from our DG operations, specifically on our Mac contacts. When Ellie mentioned your plans and priorities to me, we agreed on specific addresses. And in these addresses we found Inky Macs. Our Macs made first contact with them, and the result was a catastrophic deluge of parties. Thousands upon thousands went in and out, and with them, information of their collective. We had to allocate 2 DG just for these guys alone. The Macs on the other side were fairly surprised because our Macs carry the information on 3 major collectives, the Mac Homeworld, our Macs, and the Maccabee Macs, so they gained more of us than we from them since our collective group of 3 parts is larger. Bakanima continues, the next part of our research involves a Kligo ship in one particular universe. We sent out a Kligo ship under Commander Rexton from our Inky side, and we wanted them to travel to the Mac galaxies, make first contact and exit from there. The ships brought Macs from the Inky side of the other universe, and their purpose is to make contact with the Macs of the Mac galaxies in the same universe. Then after making contact, the Kligo ship will open a DG to our home address, then meet us here near the capital planet. We expect them to go through in 2 hours. Our Armada science people are already deployed near a target area with all their gears waiting for them to appear. You have to understand this is the first inter-DG ship to come back using a DG from the other side. Once the gateway is open, 4 Kligo blocks will go through. Let's not get too excited. Andrew commented and the people laughed. Ellie, I have read that if a person say General Man stays too long in contact with the other General Man from another universe, one of them, the foreign General Man will suffer a big headache and eventually die. Roger said. Yes, that's the theory, but we have yet to ID an actual person who have come in contact with himself and establish how long they can make contact before any problem occurs. I think the point Roger is trying to make is why don't our Rodin meet with the other Rodin and see how long they can stand each other? Eric said. Hey, you got it too. Roger said looking at Eric. We will surely find out. Ellie said and looked at Bakanima. We did know of the Rodins of the other universes but did not make contact with the guys. We concentrated our contact with the Max so our security will not be blown. We specifically made sure that this would be an entirely Mac contact to be on the safe side. Bakanima said. I'd say that's a good call. Andrew said. Bakanima continued, actually another reason is that Rodin, our Rodin, didn't want to make contact with the other Rodins. Maybe he did not like the other guy or he felt he needed more intel before meeting the guys. I believe that our Rodin is just too busy. But not too busy for you guys. Rodin said as he and Gantley stepped into the room. A few seconds later Binaton and Gotanen appeared. Great leader, I did not know you would be dropping by. Tonen said. Greetings to all of you. Tonen. It was Gotanen's idea to bring me over. Binaton said. As you know, Ellie, Bakanima and I have been coordinating our DG program and we launched a Kligo ship under Commander Resban from our side and it went to the Max on the other universe and intends to come back here near the Mac planet near the Inki Gateway for some dramatic effect. Gotanen said. Hey, should we be in the drama as well? Ellie? Andrew asked. Rebecca, I believe that's your cue. Ellie spoke softly to Rebecca. We did launch our own Kligo ship under Lieutenant Colonel Hairu and she will be opening a DG at about the same time the Inkis and Norsets would be opening theirs. We didn't want to tell anybody so we can have some dramatic effect. Rebecca said. Now I blew it. Andrew commented. We expected this. Ellie said. Why don't we all move to the drama area? I understand it would be near Andrew's ship. Rodin suggested. Olive, were you in on this? Andrew asked. Not really, Andrew. Rodin just told me to be where I am now. But we came over here, remember? Olive asked. Okay, let's all move to my reception area and watch from there. Andrew said and felt he was just the center of a sinister prank probably instigated by Rodin. What bothered him was that he behaved like a willing participant but has no idea what is happening. Andrew's reception area was full of people. Half were Armada officers and men, a third were Armada scientists and the rest were Mac and Inki officials. Olive has laid out several tables full of food and refreshments. See Andrew, they are all waiting for you. Rodin told Andrew. Okay Rodin, I know you are the brains behind this. I assure you, you will get one from me next time. I absolutely do not know what you're talking about. Then Billy and his team with several Maccabee scientists appeared as holograms. Hi Billy. I guess you found out about this also? Andrew asked. I was not part of the prank, Andrew, if that is what you mean. The teams laughed. The groups were busy with the refreshments when the alarm sounded and they all went to look at the target locations. There were more than 24 science ships deployed around the target area which was 1 ly wide. Just after the alarm sounded several large hologram screens floated around the reception area. After a few minutes the screens showed 3 DG openings. The screens showed the openings grow to the maximum size and after a while a Kligo block appeared then another, then another. The people in Andrew's reception area clapped their hands. After 30 minutes all the 3 openings have discharged 4 Kligo ship blocks each. Then the 12 blocks flew nearer to the center which was the Inki DG opening and the 12 connected themselves side to side into one long block. More applause. Then the long block of 12 moved forward. After a few minutes the DG openings started to disgorge more Kligo blocks. It took an hour for all the blocks to move through in one DG and reform into a Kligo ship minus the 4 blocks. This got some more applause. After a few minutes as if on cue all 3 commanders of the Kligo ships appeared before Andrew and Rodin. Congratulations Commander Rexton, Resban and Lieutenant Colonel Hairu. Andrew greeted them. Binaton and Rodin congratulated them as well. Then all the scientists and Armada officers congratulated them. I like the way you guys join in one long Kligo. Andrew said. It was Rodin's idea, sir. Hairu said. Well done Rodin. Very well done. Andrew told Rodin. I agree Andrew. Binatton said. Thank you, Andrew, Binatton. Okay, for the punchline. Ellie, what prevents our ship from beaming the Kligo blocks in and out of the other dimension through the DG openings? Andrew asked. Nothing, but that would not be as dramatic as how they did it. We can beam anything into the other dimension straight as long as our ships have the lay of the land on the other side, like say with a drone probe. That is why deploying drone probes are a must in all our sorties. I understand. You were all trying to be dramatic, but not for movie purposes, I suppose. Andrew responded. They were dramatic not because of any movie. It is all about the symbolism of unity and cooperation. It is no different from your usual parades. Remember, it's the symbolism that counts. Roden explained. Okay, I get it. Andrew said. Kimmel appeared with 4 Macs who were wearing a different uniform. Actually, they were wearing a very old-style uniform of Mac officials. Andrew, Roden, Binatton, these are the Macs from the Inkeys and Mac galaxies of the other universe. This is Sarban, the Mac Council head, Bayron, his science officer. These are Inkey Mac's Council Master Lumney and her science officer Milno. Keelmill said. Andrew and the group introduced themselves again. Keelmill moved the group around and introduced them to the other officers and officials. Resban, what can you say about our new friends? Binatton asked. Great leader, the Macs we saw have no experience or events of any war or aggression from other aliens. They have not gone to Earth to kickstart the Armada. They have not gone and made contact with the Inkey Macs, and we were the ones who bridged their divide. They have no hops and they have not met any of the Norsets. Our Norsets were the first Norsets they have met. The Norsets we saw were at war with the Morts, and it would be very good if we can help them out. I did not make any contact with them because I would definitely get involved, and it was not my mission to get involved. But I did deploy 120 drone probes across the entire length of the Norset galaxies. Our intel is growing as we speak, although we already have a map of the Norset galaxies done already. Well done, Resban. You were correct in not getting involved. We have to plan this as a major engagement for our Armada. Binatton said. I believe we can do few things for the Norsets that would not involve a lot of resources. One is that we can send several hundred plasma cannons through the DGs and teach the Norsets to manufacture the cannons for themselves. Another is to dispatch several 100,000 bombers and taggers and several medium-sized TPs to beam the Morts out of their ships and into a prison planet. Then teach the Norsets to build Armada-class ships. Let's also teach them how to make the drones. We know that the Norsets are the best drone operators. Andrew commented. Rexton, what about the Inkeys, how are they doing? Roden asked. Great leader, they are at war with the Furlets and Intis. The Inkeys are led by their Roden's father, and their Roden seem to be absent in their council. I believe we can help them by teaching them how to fight well. We can also teach them our plasma cannons and give them technologies on how to build our Armada-class type of ships. We can introduce them to the Norsets so they can help each other. We have to plan well if we intend to unite the 3 Inkeys. So the idea is to make the Norsets, Macs and Inkeys help each other. We have to let them do what they did on planet Earth and bring the Earth humans into the picture. Roden said. When the Macs and Inkey Macs in the other universe get to know of our collective here, they would know what they are missing. We just need to fill in the picture for them. Binatton said. So the idea is to unite the 3 and get them to start the Armada off, and to ensure that they do, we train them and transfer our technology. That is if the Council orders us to do so. Then it becomes a training program for our Armada people to train and be trained on the new realities. Andrew said. Ellie walked to their group and was just listening. I thought you're a changed man, sir. Ellie butted in. Ellie, I was just stating a scenario and possible future process. I did not say, let's go and get the bad guys, or even it's show time. Poking my finger is different. Roden and Binatton laughed. Okay, let me present this and we'll see. Binatton said. What if they ask for our help? Sarban and Lumney are asking for our help. Keelmill said. That would still be dependent on the Council. Andrew said, and effectively washed his hands in front of Ellie. Ellie knew, and she knew that Andrew knows that she knew that if Andrew decided to go, the Council will support him anyway. So Ellie just smiled. If a Mac, Inkey or Norset from another world would have the solution to our bad guy problems, we would ask for their help. Now if they decide not to help, we would feel at a loss on how we can understand that they do not want to help. The Mac Council communicated that they agree. Keelmill said. We cannot poke our finger in every hole we see. Pretty soon we would run out of fingers because we only have 10 and there would still be thousands of holes to be filled. Andrew explained. Okay, but the first always gets the goodies. Ellie said, and Resban nodded agreement while Rexton put a thumbs up sign. Okay, I agree with Ellie. Roden said. This is probably why Gotanen brought me here. Okay, I agree. Binatton said. Well, I don't. Andrew said. Yes, you do, sir. I can sense your excitement. Ellie said. Olive appeared. I believe Ellie is sensing your heightened adrenaline level. Liar. Roden told Andrew, and the others laugh. Fine, where's Eric? Andrew asked. Eric approached their group. So are we going or are we going? I was set up. I did not want to go, but they forced my hand. Andrew said. Okay, boss, I know you were forced to do this, but let me talk to our people. It would take some doing, but I believe they will be ready to deploy in 3 days. They were actually able to deploy within the hour in stages and groups, but Eric did not want Andrew to think they were more prepared than they actually were, thus preempting Andrew's decision and supporting the idea of Roden's prank. Keelmill smiled at Eric and said, Okay, let me bring these 4 over to our capital below and have them meet our leaders. They beamed out. And no, Roden, you cannot go with us. You are the leader of the Inky people and you do not have time to do these things. Andrew said. We have to establish if in fact there would be a conflict if a universe has 2 Rodens in close proximity. Once this is established, we can measure the time period when the conflict manifests itself up to the time it is resolved. Roden said. Okay, you can go, but only as a science experiment. Andrew said, and they all laughed. Linda and Lachine approached the group. Sir, we can send forward recon teams to see how we can deploy and in what stages. 5 groups each can be inserted into the Norset, Mac, and Inky galaxies. Linda said to Andrew. That's a go, Linda. Make sure they have ghosts with them. Linda, I want to go with the Inky group. Roden said. I want to go with the Norset group. Godnan said. I will go down to Keelmill and meet with the Mac Council. Byneton said and disappeared. Godnan, you are not a field operative. This could be dangerous to your health. Andrew told Godnan. Like Roden, I would like to be the science experiment on the Norset side. Okay, fine, if you put it that way. I will go with Roden. Ellie, Linda, Lachine, and Unisol, you're all coming with me. Eric, take Roger and Ezra with you and go with Godnan. Olive, tell Gadden to take charge of the Mac side of the operation. Rexton, when can we leave? Roden asked. All the ship operatives are ready. The human ghosts are ready. We can leave now and take one of the blocks through. We can go straight to meet their council after our ship reforms at the other side. The human ghosts on the other side are telling me the council has started their meeting. We can beam in as holograms to talk to them. Rexton answered. I thought Eric said we can leave in 3 days. Andrew asked. He must be thinking of full deployment of several of our scout and operations groups. This is high-level first contact and you all do not belong to any DG operating teams. Rexton said. Andrew thought that was a logical answer. Gantley, come with us. Roden said. I thought you were leaving me behind. Okay, let's go, it's show time. Andrew said. That was Olive's cue to beam them to the block which serves as Rexton's command center. This is a nice ship. Lachine commented. Rexton looked at her. What you see is the whole of it. I never thought this is so long. It was longer than what I imagined it to be. Linda said. We designed it to be as long as 2 long buses and 2 buses wide. Just enough for it to go through the DG. The equipment occupies almost half the volume, so we had to create hallways for our people to have access from front to the rear of the block. All blocks are self-sufficient and have their own medium-sized TPs. Several blocks have the long-range ones, but not this command ship. The personnel blocks have more space for our people while the drone blocks have space for only 2 people. Ellie said. Where do we sit? Andrew cut in. We only provided enough seats for the crew. Ellie said. Olive, beam some chairs over here. Andrew said, and several mess hall chairs appeared. Linda laughed. With all this high-tech around us, we are sitting on mess hall chairs. Our mission is to save a universe and it's only proper to sit on mess hall chairs while we do it. Roden said. Better than standing. Lachine concluded, and they all laughed. Gantley moved his chair nearer a wall so he can hold on to a handle. If you don't hold on, you might fall, he said. Andrew thought that was a simple enough reason, so he moved his chair beside him to hold on to a handle on the wall. The others followed. Andrew stood and went beside Rexton, who was sitting on the captain's chair. He saw a mist form in front and they flew into it. Immediately he saw stars, then a large planet on the lower left. We will position ourselves 10 ly away from the capital planet and hide behind this planet to the left. Our ship blocks will beam near our position and bolt in with each other to form our Kligo ship. Rexton announced. In less than 30 minutes the blocks have reformed to complete the Kligo ship. That was fast. Andrew commented. Everything was pre-programmed. Ellie said. We have laid out drone probes all the way to the Inky galaxies. There are also dozens very near the planets. We can project your holograms all the way to the Inky galaxies and talk to them. Rexton said. Linda stood on the other side of Rexton. Rexton, are we still crimson invisible? Linda asked. No. If we are, we would appear in the same blue haze as in our dimension. We will beam your holograms in front of the meeting. Gumden is the name of their leader as well. Are we all ready? Roden asked, looking around, and they nodded. Greetings Gumden, my name is Roden, this is Gantley, Andrew, Ellie, Linda, Lachine and Nissel. Roden said in a formal manner. The council members were taken by surprise. They remained quiet. Okay, where's your son Gumden? Roden asked. But you are my son, don't you remember me? I know you have a son named Roden, but I am not your son. By the way, where's Gantley? But you died with your friend Gantley a few years ago. Gumden answered. Okay, wait, there is some misunderstanding here. Roden, let me explain some things first. Gumden, our group, came from another dimension. We have a device that enables us to travel into another dimension. We are not from this dimension. Earlier we made contact with your Max under Lumni and our Max integrated with them. Now we know you have a problem with the Inties and Furlets and we came to see if we can help. Ellie said. Gumden looked at Ellie, I understand. Let's say you are what you say you are. Roden, my son here in our dimension was assassinated together with his friend Gantley. Where? Roden asked. In a galaxy 3 BLY from here. The source of information is unreliable and we cannot understand why Roden would be flying there. Rexton, can you show us the galaxy where we first met Roden? Ellie asked Rexton telepathically. A hologram of the galaxies where they first encountered Roden appeared. A blinking light appears in the middle. Here, was this the area you thought Roden went missing? Ellie pointed to an area around the blinking light. Gumden came closer and after a while said, I guess that could be the place. Who is in charge of the fleets right now? Roden asked. Radano. Gumden said. I think we should leave now, Roden. Andrew said, and they excused themselves and disappeared. Back at the ship. That is so weird. Gantley said. I think our next move is to find their Roden. Andrew said. I agree. You know, I feel the other Roden. Like there's this small pressure in my head when I think about him. Roden said. I have that same feeling when I think about the other Gantley. Rexton, we will go back now to our world, but you take your ship over to where their Roden was and look for him. I am sure he is in a planet hiding or something. Roden said. Very well, great leader Roden. May I? Rexton opened a DG portal and told Olive to beam the group back. Back in Andrew's ship, Nissel appeared and, I think the Max in their world have not sent people to contact Earth. In fact, the reason their collective does not show any conflict is because they have not gone out of their world. I am sure there's trouble out there in abundance. I think you are right, Nissel. Ellie said. At least our science experiment was a success with Roden and Gantley here. Andrew said. Let's nosy over to Tonan's. Roden suggested. I like that. Andrew said. Wait, let me tell Tom to open a DG portal for us. Ellie said. When a mist opened, Olive showed a hologram of Gotanen and Tonan. Are you done with your chores already? Tonan asked. Okay, Olive, you can beam them here. Olive beamed Andrew's group with some chairs. Ellie saw Eric and Roger lying on two long sofas, reading something on floating screens. I know those sofas. Andrew told the two. Those were his sofas from his bridge. Roden took a seat nearer the wall and he saw the others are sitting on similar mess hall chairs. We are waiting for the council members to assemble in a few minutes. Tonan explained. Resban, so I understand that you have drone probes all the way to the Norset galaxies? Andrew asked. Yes, Sir Andrew. Oh, Ellie said. Linda looked at her and Ellie pointed to Andrew. So if we have our Norset side open a DG on their side, they can get in touch with the drones you sent out that are already in this side near the Norset galaxies? Yes, Sir Andrew. Andrew faced Ellie. Ellie, if I was in the comfort of my ship with Olive beside me, what prevents me from talking with the Norset Council heads from that dimension? Nothing, Andrew. But it would be much more fun this way. Imagine we can get to sit on mess hall chairs in a high-tech ship. Gotanen said. You know what, I understand the drama it depicts and there is honor in sitting in mess hall chairs, but I like Andrew's reception hall better. Olive, I want to go back. Roden said and disappeared. Let's all go back, guys. And that includes you, Eric, and your team and my sofas. Let us go. Gotanen, you want some brandy? Andrew asked. Okay, sure, let's go back. Gotanen agreed. They were all grumbling when they returned to Andrew's reception hall. Tonan beams back. You left me alone back there. He said. Resban appeared. Sir Tonan, the council members are assembled and is beginning their formal meeting. Olive, you can beam their holograms here. Andrew, are you all ready? I have the coordinates so I can have you all appear before the council anytime you like. Olive said. Andrew looked at Roden and Roden nodded. Okay, Olive, let's go. It's showtime. Godenon started. Greetings, Byneton, my name is Godenon, this is Roden, Andrew, Tonen, Gantley, Ellie, Linda, Lachine, Nissel and Ezra. Byneton and the council were surprised. They remained quiet. Tonen stepped forward and explained the DG and how they got there. They were still quiet. Ellie told Olive to translate for her. We came to help you rid yourselves of the Morts, she said in Norset. There was a long pause. Tonen, you were captured by the Morts when you launched a rescue party for Godenon and his group who were also captured. The Dimensions, Byneton said. Oh, so you thought we were collaborating with the Morts. That's okay, these people can help you, Godenon said. Byneton responded, if they came to help us. Why are you here, Godenon? Godenon was puzzled. Andrew and Roden laughed. So did the others after realizing Godenon's predicament. He's a science experiment, Ellie said. More laughs. Okay, first we will rescue Godenon and Tonen. Then we will remove the Morts from your planets and put them in a planet with no interplanetary access. Then we will go to the Mort homeworld and get all their ships and blow up their intergalactic facilities. Then you can go and lord it over them, Tonen said. Ellie continued, we will also provide you with some technologies to help you out. We request that you ally with the Max and Inkies. 2 species you have not met but will help you a lot. How many ships do you have and how long do you think you would need to accomplish these tasks? Byneton asked. Resban will be here in 16 days. Excluding the cleanup, we probably need what do you think? Tonen asked. I'd say 2 months, conservatively. Ellie said. I guess 2 months is a good number. Tonen said in agreement. You only have 1 ship and you need 2 months to rid ourselves of the Morts? Byneton declared. Oh no, Byneton, to remove the Morts, we would need only a little over a month. 2 months include messing up the Mort galaxies so you can lord it over them. Tonen explained. The council laughed with Byneton. Fine, laugh all you like. We will contact you again, Tonen said and told Olive to cut the connection. I guess the DGs make our work more unbelievable than it normally is to them. Andrew commented. I think Resban can handle the war by himself. Roden said. So much for my science experiment. I could not imagine we were treated as nutcases. As a scientist, I get this often but that was one for the books. Godenon said. So much for our first foray through the DG. Andrew said. A comedy of errors if you ask me. Linda concluded. Let me talk to the writers to show exactly that, Linda. Andrew said. They all laugh.